Hi, everybody. My name is Quincy Molope. Firstly, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for the invite to come and speak with you guys at your VANSA conference. I would have loved to have this conversation with you guys live, but unfortunately, time would not allow me. So I'm so appreciative that you at least allowed me to send this through pre-recorded for you guys. I enjoy having open and live conversations because at least I get a gauge of what knowledge I'm sharing today adds value. What should I, spend a little bit more time on? What should I move fast? Where should I fast forward? Where should I spend a little bit more time? So we won't be able to do that today, but we also won't be able to engage. So if there's anything that you want to know more about after this presentation, you're more than welcome to get a hold of me. You can either email me at info@hellocoachk.com, or you can WhatsApp me on 061 406 6969. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn at Quincy Molope, or my other social media handles on Facebook and Instagram at Hello Coach K. So let's get going. Okay, this is actually the title of our presentation today, which is how you guys as artists can utilize social media to monetize your art, no matter what discipline you actually are. So this is who I am. Like I mentioned, I am not an artist. So full disclosure there, guys, I'm not an artist by trade. I am not here to tell you how to be the best possible artist you can be. You already are one, and you know exactly what that means for you. You know exactly what your art looks like, what it sounds like, how it moves, how it breathes. I'm not here to tell you anything about that. I'm here as a career coach to help you guys sort of think outside of the box, help you maybe understand a little bit more what type of environment you are currently in, and help you think through some of the things that you can do to optimize your experience as an artist in this current market, to help you think creatively and to facilitate that kind of thought process to take you from an individual artist to a business. All right, so let's get going in this conversation. Firstly, these are the things that I hope to cover with you guys today. I want to talk to you guys about, how you're going to find your magic and how you're going to find that sweet spot in knowing exactly what you should be speaking about for you, what's the right thing for you to be focusing on, how you're going to increase your reach, and how you're going to make that money from your social media. So we will cover your expert level. We're going to cover how to determine what an expert is, how you can determine your authority in the market. We're also going to be talking about scaling. And this is about expanding your brand and expanding your career, thinking beyond just being an individual artist who maybe paints on a canvas and is trying to sell that, one by one. And then we'll also talk about how you can better network. So utilizing different platforms to network. I'm pretty sure there's one that you guys might not have been thinking about using since you guys are artists. I'm sure most of you guys are already on Instagram, you're already on Facebook, and you're already on YouTube. And next then we will talk about how you bring all of these things, all of these aspects together to monetize your art, no matter what field you're in. So whether you're a photographer, an artist, a visual artist, a designer, a graphic designer, whatever kind of artist that you might be, this is a really good way. If you follow all of these little steps that we'll be talking about today, you're going to at least have built a really good foundation to start earning a passive income. First, let's talk about that expert level I was talking about. And this is how you want to position yourself in the market out there, becoming an authority. An expert is somebody who has practiced at a very minimum 10,000 hours of their particular skill or trade. They are often also asked to teach or to give advice. And thirdly, they are a trusted source of knowledge for their particular skill or talent. So that's what you want to position yourself as first in the market. For you to be able to make any kind of money from anyone, people need to want to come to you and know that they can come to you to find trusted information on whatever it is your skill or your talent is, right? And how do you establish yourself as an authority in the market? There are 7 steps that I've listed here if you guys will have a look on the right side of your screen. And the first one is you need to share original content. And I know that might seem daunting, or it might sound daunting, especially if you're not used to sharing original content, right? Because that means sharing more than just your visual art, if you're a visual artist, right? It means more than just sharing a picture. It means now you have to think smart about what that picture actually means to you, the journey of that picture. You need to start sharing your stuff and putting context to the kind of work that you're doing as well. Second, you need to provide the solution. It is absolutely critical for you, if you consider yourself an authority in a space, to also then be able to provide the solution, because you have then identified some kind of problem. So let's stick to the visual art sort of artist category, whether you are a photographer or you are doing canvas work. I hope I've got that right, because I'm not an artist. But if you are saying, okay, I am a skilled photographer, I have more than 10,000 hours worth of skill put into my trade, and I think I'm good enough that I can start teaching people how to do this. That is the solution that you're providing. You say, come to my profile here, and I will give you the skills you need to become a really good photographer. And I think this is interesting because, like I mentioned, this talk was inspired by a conversation that I had with one of your VANSA members, Vuisile. He is the current art museum curator at the Klerksdorp Museum. And he said to me, Quincy, I'm so bored right now. I have spent so much time doing this one specific thing, and I feel like I know it. I could do it in my sleep. And I said to him, but that's your golden space. That's where you are considered an expert, and that's what you need to be sharing with people. And so how do you become an authority? There are 7 things that you can do here that I've listed to help establish your authority in your given field, no matter what that is. And we'll talk about how do you then establish what type of authority you want to be in the next slide. But let's have a look first here at these 7 steps, which is 1, you need to share original content. And I know that this might sound daunting to some of you guys who are maybe just used to sharing pictures of your artwork. But this means you're going to need to start adding context to it. This means you're going to need to start telling people a little bit more and opening up a little bit more about who you are in your journey, what this art means to you, right? And secondly, you want to provide the solution. Now, this is critical because there's so many hands and eyes right now on the internet, and all of those hands and eyes are looking for a solution to a problem. So you would firstly need to know what that problem statement is that you are trying to resolve, that you are trying to be an authority in, and then you need to provide a solution for it. So if you are, for instance, a photographer, perhaps then your problem statement is to customers who use photography as a hobby but would like to get better at it. And so you're providing that solution by maybe starting an online academy where you can teach them different skill sets about photography, lighting, what kind of lenses you need for different shots, how to position your camera to get certain shots, right? That's what it means by provide the solution. Third, you need to diversify your content. Again, now that just means that you are going to be providing your solution across different platforms and across different content styles, so that you are allowing different people to come to you in different ways. You're becoming more accessible. So diversifying your content is providing your content in picture format, in video format, in text, and possibly in audio as well, right? You're just trying to increase the amount of ways that people can come to you to find their solution. Fourth, you want to be visible. There is no such thing as an authority that nobody doesn't know about, right? If you think of an industry leader right now in the back of your mind, what person comes to mind? When I just said that, the person that came to my mind was Oprah. And we all know who that is because she is visible. She has well established her authority in her field, and we all know exactly who she is. So you want to be more visible than you are right now, right? Fifth, you want to collaborate. And this part for me is one where I know that it might be a bit difficult. I find it myself since I've started Hello Coach K. I find that Africans consider collaboration and partnering like a loss kind of situation. I've had more global partners and collaborators than I have collaborators in my own country and in my own continent, because we don't seem to grasp the benefit of collaborating. And that's also why I've started a new series called Reinvention Africa, which is a video blog on trying to get people to step out of their comfort zone in Africa and start sharing their content and start sharing their journeys with people to get used to it. But collaboration will do a few things for you. One, it'll increase your reach. When you're collaborating with somebody else, it means that their audience will then also become your audience, and you'll hopefully convert those people to stay on your platform too. But that's different eyes now and different ears that are seeing your content and that know that you're visible. The next thing that it also does for you is that it creates different relationships that you might not have thought of before, and it might create different work opportunities as well for you. So think about, if you are a photographer, for instance, we'll stick with that theme. It seems to be one that I can actually conceptualize. So if you're a photographer, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to collaborate with another photographer, right? That other photographer might just be your competitor, which is fine. If you don't want to collaborate with a competitor, that's perfectly okay. But then you can maybe collaborate with a street artist and say, I would like to follow you. I want to do a video blog on your journey on how you create your street art. And you take pictures for him of his street art. That's collaboration. Or if you're a photographer and you want to collaborate with a fashion designer, and you're like, I want to do a series on this type of design work that you do so well. Can I take photos for you? Let's create something together. Those are smart collaborations and smart partnerships that are mutually beneficial for the both of you, and that's going to increase your visibility, and it's also going to increase your reach. Next is to perfect your process. Now, I know I've got artist friends myself, and I come from a corporate background. So process is something that I completely understand. And I know that for artistic people, sometimes process is probably the last thing in your mind. You maybe might think that this is very mechanical, but it's not necessarily mechanical. When I'm talking process here, I'm not talking about the process in which you produce your art. I'm talking about the process in which you are going to engage with your customers, engage with the rest of the world, and run your customers through from the time they start to engage with you to the time they buy your product or buy your software, your service offering, buy your solution, and then ultimately go on and recommend you because they're happy with the service that they received from you, right? So your process is, I need you to take the time to sit back. Once we've gone through this presentation, of course, and you now have a better idea and understanding of how you want to share your authority with the world, you will sit and think about every single touch point where you will be touching your customer or your customer is touching and engaging with you. You want to make sure that that point is successful and it is seamless. So if you don't necessarily have the capacity to think about your process from start to finish, have a conversation that does have that kind of sort of thinking process, right? And this means you might think about, okay, so when a customer contacts me and says, hey, I actually saw your online photography class, how do I apply or log in? That's an engagement that's required from you to them. How are you responding to that person? Do you know? Because you can't be thinking about that at that point in time when you're having the conversation, right? So think about what your welcome statement is going to be. Think about what your statement will be if they're asking you for pricing. Think about what your response is going to be if they say, well, I paid and the payment system isn't working, or I don't have access to your course. So that's what I mean by perfecting your process. Make sure that when your customers are engaging with you, make sure that when your potential collaborators are partnering with you and engaging, and your corporate sponsors, for instance, are engaging with you, that the process is painless and it is seamless. And last but not least, but certainly very important, is you need to charge your worth. Now, this is really important because I struggled with this myself. I think I changed my pricing model maybe 3 times when I started Hello Coach K in the last 12 months, because you're going to struggle as an entrepreneur between your value, which is your time, your skill, and what you're offering based on how much you think your audience or your niche can actually afford to pay you. And one thing I want to say here is, don't undervalue yourself, right? There's a psychology between how much people will pay for something. Think about it in this way. You're willing to pay maybe 2,000 Rand for a pair of Nike shoes, right? Because you know that that's going to be quality. But if you walked into Ackermans, for instance, and they were selling shoes for maybe 200 Rand, you know very well that those shoes are maybe going to last you a month before they start falling apart, depending on how often you're wearing them. So psychologically, people attach the quality of something to how much it costs. So think about that as well when you're developing a pricing model. When I first started, I priced so low that I wasn't able to get the customers that I was looking for because they didn't trust the quality of my product. And so I doubled what I was charging, and all of a sudden I'm generating income. The guys that I need to come to me for my service are taking me more seriously because now I'm charging a premium rate for what it is I do, and they're trusting my expertise because of that. So don't be scared to charge a little bit more than what you think you should be. Now we're here to determine what exactly you want to be an authority for, right? We've been speaking now about establishing yourself as an authority. And now we're going to be talking about how do you now know and determine what you're going to be an authority on. And this is called your zone of genius. Your zone of genius is the pinpoint between where your genius and your purpose meet. So let's maybe just expand a little bit more on what this means and how are you going to find that zone that you should be functioning in and that you should be supplying the solution for and positioning yourself as an authority or as an expert in that field, right? Finding your genius. Your genius is that thing that you do so well that it leaves you energized. I was having a conversation with Visile. I'm sure I've mentioned him now before as well in this conversation. And he said something to me that made me already kind of see where he could have his zone of genius. And he said, I've been doing what I do for so long that I can do it sleeping. It's actually a little bit boring. I'm kind of tired doing it. I want to do something new. So it's not only something that leaves you energized, but something that you just do so well that you can do it with your eyes closed, because that's where you're going to establish your authority. That's where you're most likely an expert in. And it's going to be easy for you to create the solutions that you need to create for the problems that your potential customers will have for you. So you can ask yourself these questions to determine where your genius lies, right? And the first question is, when did I last lose track of time doing something? What was I doing? And what do people often come to you for help for? And I think that's a really good indicator, because if people are constantly coming to you, whether or not you are an artist with many different disciplines, right? Because you can do that. Some of you guys are so creative and so skilled and so talented that you might be a graphic designer, you might know how to do websites, you might know how to draw, you might know how to take pictures as well. You might be really good at street artwork, whatever the case may be, you have different disciplines. But where you establish your focus and your zone of genius might come from seeing what people come to you for help with. So if you have all of these disciplines, but people generally come to you because you're so good at graphic design and they want to know how you do it, they need help from you to get their projects done right or looking as good as yours, then that might be a zone of genius that you want to consider. And the last question that you can ask yourself is, what did you bring and contribute to your last group session that no one else knew or thought to bring to the table? And how interesting is that? How often do you meet in a group of people and you guys are talking about something and you bring about a different perspective to what anybody else in the group had? That is also unique to you. It's a unique style of thinking and the way you perceive the world as well. So you might want to consider that as well. Next now here is, how do you find your purpose? And there's so much content out there that you guys can go back and research for yourself on how to find your purpose. But if you go and have a look at my work as well, all my work is centered around purpose-driven. Every single thing I do in my career coaching business is centered around helping people find their purpose, to have a fulfilled career. That's my mission statement. That's my goal. I'm here to help you find work and find a career that fulfills you, but that is also financially successful, because that's important, right? We do need to, at the end of the day, provide for ourselves, but not only that, really start living a life that we feel like we deserve. And we do need money to get that right. So think about where your purpose lies. Your purpose is the reason that you're alive, and it's linked to a common theme or thread throughout your life. And what I mean by that is, I'll maybe give you some insight into my own personal life, not too long though, because I know we're looking at time. But there are certain things in my life where certain characteristics about myself that I was constantly attacked on. And so I had to introspect and try to figure out, am I being attacked on this because it's a bad thing in me, or because it's a good thing in me? Is this attack trying to discourage me from being who I am and from making these kind of changes in the world and making my impact in the world? or is it something else? So here are the things that you can consider in you trying to discover your purpose, and then linking that to your zone of genius so that you know exactly what type of themes you should be covering and talking about as you move on to try and monetize and establish your personal brand on social media. So you can reflect on your life journey to determine what injustices bother you. For me, I specifically speak to the African girl child because that was my experience, and I talk to traumas that hinder girls from understanding their worth, traumas that hinder girls from understanding how they can successfully use their minds, the work of their hands, and their bodies to start to serve them instead of serving other people. Okay. Next, you can pay attention to feedback from others and what they say about you. Remember, and I always say this to my friends as well, my husband and I talk about this quite a bit as well. People will always see the light in you far quicker and far sooner than you see it in yourself. So pay attention to what people call you. Pay attention to what they see in you, because they will see your greatness a lot sooner than you see it. And some of them will actually communicate that to you in a beautiful way, in a positive way, while others will do it in a mocking way. But at the end of the day, they're still highlighting that light inside of you. So pay attention to it. The next thing that I want you to consider is consider what leaves you feeling fulfilled while you're doing it. Some of us really have a drive or an energy to be philanthropic, which means we get great joy from giving back of our time, giving back with our money, giving back with our resources. And that's also an okay thing for you guys to consider. Next now is, once you've found your genius and once you've found your purpose, you're now in your zone. And now you need to know exactly how do you execute this plan and how do you go about functioning within your zone, right? Because you want to be strategic and deliberate about how you function in the zone. This is how you use your time, your energy, and your resources. So I'd recommend that you keep a tracker of your performance and time spent on each task to find out exactly where the gaps in knowledge or skill are, where the bottlenecks in your processes might be, but also for places of improvement. So if you figure out all of these things, all you'll keep doing is becoming better and better and better at what you're doing, and you will create your own niche, you'll create your own following, you will have created your own unique solutioning as well to the problems that are out there socially. Let's talk scaling. This is now where we're going to discuss how you move from being an individual artist to really considering yourself as a fully running engine or business. We can no longer function conventionally in a non-conventional environment, right? We are in COVID. We've been in COVID for almost a year, and some countries have been in it a little bit longer than what we've been in it. But one thing that we've noticed is that the market has changed. It is not the same as what it used to be. And so you cannot function in this market the same way. And the only reason I'm showing you these kind of numbers is not necessarily to scare you. You know, this is 10% of art school graduates are known to make a living wage from their art in a conventional way. This is just to give you an indication of how few graduates out there are making money on their art in a conventional way, which might mean, you know, going to a market somewhere or a fair and trying to sell your artwork piece by piece, or trying to use Facebook as well to sell your artwork piece by piece. This is just me trying to stipulate to you that maybe now's a good time to start using creative thinking a little bit. You are a creative being by nature. So think outside of your box, think outside of your comfort zone, and how you can establish yourself as an engine, as a business. And this graph here is just showing you the platform that I mentioned earlier that you guys might not have thought about using this platform at all because you're artists, but LinkedIn. LinkedIn has the highest B2B lead conversion. Oh, sorry, I see that I've spelled that wrong. It's supposed to say conversion, not conversation. Conversion success rate, beating Facebook and Twitter with a rate of 2.74, right? So this means that although you've got a really cool following on Twitter, on Facebook, you will most likely struggle to convert those people to paying customers, because what people do on these two platforms is, this is a feel-good platform. We go here to scroll through all day. We go here to kind of make ourselves feel better. We come to Twitter and Facebook to troll. We come to Twitter and Facebook to laugh. But the energy and the expectation is different on platforms like LinkedIn. It is a professional networking social media site, which means people that are on there for a particular reason. They are there to close business deals. They are there to find work. They are there to solve solutions. And they are there to find industry experts and authorities in a particular topic to help them sort of figure out what it is they need to do next or to complete or work on a project. And now this is where the conversation of personal branding comes in and getting your message right. So we've spoken now about how do you determine and establish being an authority. Then we spoke about your zone of genius, which is now where you're going to function, what your field of expertise is going to be, right? And then I kind of sort of introduced LinkedIn to you in terms of a new social media platform that you can be functioning in, even as an artist, and it will be successful for you if you do it right. Now I want to talk to you guys about how do you message your brand in such a way that you can transition your followers from Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook to LinkedIn and still get the same kind of reaction or engagement as you're getting there. But this time now, your aim is to convert those into leads, into a pipeline, into customers that are going to be willing to pay you for your artwork, not just marvel at your work on Instagram and give you likes, right? And this is what personal branding is all about. Your personal brand is how people perceive you, and your personal branding is how you control that perception with how you communicate that message to the rest of the world. I want you guys to do something for me real quick right now. Just take a second and pull out your phones. I want you to Google yourself. So put in your name and Google yourself. No, seriously, take a minute to Google yourself. Are you satisfied with the results? Were they a little bit scary, or do you feel like they can be better? Because I've Googled myself and I'm quite satisfied with the message that comes across because I control most of that message, right? Across all my social media platforms, I speak the same way, I speak the same language, and I'm spreading the same message about purpose and freedom in your career, but also being a fulfilled mom, because that's what I am as well, being an awesome wife, because that's what I am as well, and being a woman, because that's what I am as well. So we are not all one thing. We are dynamic human beings, and you are not just your art. Although your art is an important aspect of who you are, you can communicate, and you can communicate your message in such a way that it shares to the world the complete human being that you are. So don't be scared to do that. So yeah, I just wrote a few points, to say, what do you want to be known for? That's your personal branding message. What does your current social media footprint say about you now? So how you see yourself and how you perceive yourself, is it the same? Are they aligned compared to what social media right now says about you? Are you satisfied? Well, keep thinking about your personal branding message, because this is now going to flow through the rest of this presentation as we talk about how now you utilize social media and other platforms, right? Small businesses have increased their use of online learning by 900% since 2010, and 60% of students now prefer online learning to in-person class learning. E-learning is expected to be a $15 billion industry by the end of 2020. That's simply because so many more eyes and so many more hands are online now, right? I do almost everything on my phone. Also because I'm juggling being a mom of 2 toddlers, so I don't necessarily always have the luxury to take out my laptop and work from my laptop, or to drive to an office somewhere and get my work done there. So I'm on my phone in between my daily life. And so I need my phone to serve me. So we will cover social media platforms that you guys can use. We will discover teaching platforms, digital CVs, and we will talk about the new phase in your industry, which is NFTs. This is NFT art finance, and I want to put it out there that this is all new to me too, but I thought this is important to bring into this presentation today because it does impact your world right now as it stands, and hopefully you will take this information and knowledge that I'm sharing with you guys today as foundational knowledge to go and do your own research and understanding the NFT world a little bit better, okay? So when it comes to social media, you'll notice that I really, really like LinkedIn. And I want you guys to consider using LinkedIn because, like I said, it is the best at converting a person who's just floating on your profile, converting that person to a lead, and hopefully becoming a return customer to use your product or your solution, right? Because we're now trying to talk about how you're going to use your art and social media to start generating you an income. And that is your sales funnel. That means that is how you are going to draw people towards you, retain them long enough for them to say, okay, actually, Ben is the solution I've been looking for. I don't mind giving Ben my money for him to resolve this solution for me. This is now all about professional etiquette and how you communicate on this platform. And it is so important because if you make the wrong impression on LinkedIn, it's very difficult to recover. It's going to take you some time. It's not impossible, but it is going to take you some time and it's going to take a little bit of work. So you rather want to do it the right way at first. There's nothing wrong with you guys being young. I'm young too, probably not as young as what some of you guys are now. But I know, for instance, my younger brother, he is 26 years old. I'm 31. He doesn't speak the way I speak, right? They've got their own lingo. They've got their own way that they express themselves. But that doesn't necessarily mean that is a professional way to express themselves. That's how you would express yourself and talk to your friends, maybe even your colleagues, perhaps, or other artists, right, in your space. But if you're trying to collaborate, if you're trying to be more visible, if you're trying to be accessible, if you're trying to partner and try get advertisers and sponsors and seem like you would reach a really large organization, then you maybe do need to consider the way you communicate differently on different platforms. So how you communicate on Instagram might not be the same as how you communicate on Facebook, and it might not be the same as how you communicate on LinkedIn, even though ultimately your message is the same. And this is what I mean. If you go to my Instagram account, you might see that my captions sometimes tend to be a lot more emotive because that's what Instagram is about. And if you go to my LinkedIn page and you see the same photo there that I've shared on LinkedIn, that might be a little bit more technical. I might go into a few more steps on what I'm talking about, right? Because that's a different platform. I know that on LinkedIn, people are trying to find a solution to whatever problem that they have. So on LinkedIn, two things are important. One is you need to connect with people to grow your network. And the second, you need to make a lasting impression. So how do you connect? You need to make warm connection requests. And what I mean by this is whenever you're connecting with somebody new, don't just send off the connection request. Rather add a note there that explains a brief description of why you want to connect. Even if the message just says, hi, I found your profile really interesting. I hope you don't mind connecting. That is enough, but it's personalized enough that you're going to increase your conversion rate to gaining new connections instead of people just ignoring your requests, right? But obviously, before you start sending out requests, I'm really hoping that your LinkedIn profiles are complete, right? You've got a picture, you've got a bio, you've got a about section, you've got your experience, all of that. Make sure that your LinkedIn profile is at all-star level and then start going out and getting requests. LinkedIn will guide you on how you can get your profile there. But if you need help, you can also just contact me and I'll help you with that. Then you need to connect with industry leaders and you need to find mentors. So you want to establish yourself, whether or not you've been doing this for a long time, whether or not you're new to LinkedIn. The quickest way to also do that and to get a little bit more comfortable in how you should be sharing content and how you should be speaking and engaging on LinkedIn is to follow industry leaders as well. So connect with them, don't be shy, and start engaging in their content. You want to be visible. You want to be top of their mind as well. So whenever they have a project maybe coming up, you want them to think, oh, actually, you know what? Bob had a really cool photography project going on the other day that he told me about, and I think he might be a good person to collaborate with this. It takes time, guys. So LinkedIn doesn't just convert leads to customers for you in a week or even 3. The average time that it takes for you to consistently, and that's what I mean by you need to be consistently, be visible and create content and network, is that it takes a person on average about 60 days before you convert them to like a loyal follower or a customer or someone who's even willing to have a conversation with you. So be patient with it. This is a long game platform. It's not necessarily instantaneous. So bear that in mind. 60 days before somebody actually picks up the phone and DMs you and slips into your DMs, right? Then you want to make a lasting impression. And by that, I mean, you want people to have a better understanding of who you are. You want them to find you polite, to find you, nice and good, right? Like, hey, I can mess with that guy. Like I can do stuff with him. He's a cool guy. He's a nice guy. So you want to introduce yourself whenever you have a new connection. And one of the biggest pet peeves that everybody has on Instagram is being spammed and people asking for stuff as soon as they connect. So please don't be that guy. Please don't be that person. When you connect with somebody, as much as this connection is about you, because you have strategically thought about who you want to connect with, you cannot make the other person feel like this relationship that you're starting with them is all about them giving and giving and giving you, right? So never ask for anything up front. All you want to say to them up front is, thank you so much for connecting. I'm really looking forward to engaging more with you. And if this is an artist that you've admired for a long time, you can absolutely tell them that I have admired you for so long. I've been following your work for years. You have inspired this work of mine, or whatever the case may be, and I look forward to learning and growing with you. And that is enough. Establish rapport, establish a relationship, establish an emotional connection. And in time, you can start to introduce things like, I was wondering if you might want to jump on a podcast with me. I'm going to be talking about different landscapes for photography, and I thought you might be a good person to have this conversation with. Then you can start to ask for things, right? But never in the initial conversation. And then you want to engage. LinkedIn is not a passive social media site, which means you don't just like put stuff out and kind of hope for good energy that you're going to get back what you need. LinkedIn rewards you for engaging with other people on its platform. And engagement means comments, and it means likes. So find your people, like we mentioned, you're going to be connecting with industry leaders as you grow your network. So find those people that you like. I have a business coach for my own business, and she gave me a task a while back, actually. And she said, find 5 people that are industry leaders or people that can change your world, your career, your business. And these 5 people you follow for 30 days. And 30 days you are on their profiles, you're engaging, you're commenting, because you want to be top of mind for them. Okay, so engage. Let LinkedIn reward you for engaging, because when you engage as well, what the algorithm does is it shows your content to more and more and more people. And that's what you want. So go out there, be kind, share more about yourself. People are actually interested to know what's going on with you. People are even more interested actually knowing from Africans what is happening in Africa, what that looks like, what that sounds like. So don't be shy to honestly just be your authentic self. And if your artwork is really based on your lived experience, don't be shy to show that either. Now let's talk about how you can get going using free platforms, right? I'm sure all of you guys know YouTube. I don't need to explain to you how YouTube works at all, or what YouTube's platform is. It's an online platform for videos. I'm not an expert on YouTube. I've also just recently started trying to organize my own YouTube page. It's been up for like a month or 2, I think, and I'm trying my best. But the one thing that I know about LinkedIn is that you need to start. You just need to start going, and LinkedIn can really be, as soon as your content starts to inspire, starts to trigger, and you just blow up, it is really a rewarding platform to be on. The same with platforms like TikTok, that will reward you for how many subscribers you have, how many clicks you have, how many people visit your page or subscribe to your page. Those are really great platforms to be on as well as an artist. So think about that. If you're not somebody who ever thought about putting themselves out there a lot, go back to your favorite YouTube people that you follow, your favorite YouTube channels, and go and find like their very first post that they put up. And you'll be amazed at how bad those posts used to be. Like, they were awful. My husband this morning just showed me the very first post of a guy he follows on Facebook who is now known. He is an authority in high net worth earning men in their personal sort of branding and all of that. And his first video, guys, was so bad. He was ashy. He was speaking so fast. He didn't really have a lot of confidence. He didn't look like he had confidence, but that's how he started. And 3 years later, he's an authority and he is everywhere. So just start and take your time, with whatever resources you have as well. Nobody says you need to go out and buy 40,000 Rand worth of camera equipment and lighting and whatever to get this done either. You just need to get started. The next platforms were the teaching platforms, online platforms that I spoke to you guys about. And you can try and go do some research on these 2 that I've mentioned here, which is Thinkific and Teachable. And these allow you to build your own online academy without putting money into building your own website, for instance. So you can funnel and filter your people to go and purchase your courses, your online courses from there. Some courses are as little as $9.99 US, all the way up to about 600, 800 US dollars per course. So go on these platforms, play around a little, see whether or not there are artists in your own discipline or your field, and see what it is they're producing as well, so that you can also get a better understanding and gauge of how much you should be charging or not charging as well. But these are really good ways for you guys to get going without having to spend any money, because when you initially jump on the platform, a lot of the times it's free. I think Teachable gives you about 10 free learners that are registered on your online platform charging you. Okay. And then there is Behance, and I'm pretty sure most of you guys are aware of Behance. If you're not, this is a platform where you guys can digitize your CV. And why that makes such a big impact is because it helps you to remain modern as well. So instead of you trying to submit your CV or your portfolio in a printed document, you can now so easily send a link, right? Imagine that, just sending off your link to somebody who's interested, who said, hey Bob, I was just going through your LinkedIn profile and then I went to your YouTube and I really like what you're doing. I want to recommend you for a job at my corporate space. I want to recommend you at Investec. They're having a gallery event. Please, can you send me your work? What do you have for me to give to the art curator there so they can see your work? You can just send them a link, and this link will be like your Behance CV with all of your work on there. You can also put up your work on another link. I haven't mentioned it here, but it's called Linktree, and I've used that as well for all of my branding stuff. So it's one link that has everything in one place. So it will have your LinkedIn profile, your Insta handle, your YouTube page, your online academy, anything that you want to reference and highlight will be under that link, and it makes it so much easier for people to share, but also to get a better visual and moving representation of who you are without you having to necessarily be there physically to explain who you are. And the nice thing about a digital CV as well is that you can upload a quick video of yourself under 2 minutes explaining who you are and the journey you're taking them through with your art as well, right? So that there's a better personal connection as well. So think about all of these things. Think about how you can get started. Google some of this stuff. Research it for yourself as well, because these are just some of the platforms that I'm talking to you about. There are others out there that might be a better fit for you than the ones that I've mentioned now. And on this slide, I just wanted to show you guys how YouTube what YouTube requires from you to monetize your YouTube page, right? And that's why I said just get going, because I know for some niches it can take quite a while to get to like the 1,000 mark subscribers. But if you already have a really good Instagram following or Twitter following, try by all means to migrate your followers over to your YouTube page. And you can do this by doing an online campaign, right? To say, hey guys, I've started my YouTube channel. I'd really appreciate the support. Just subscribing my channel would help me quite a bit, right? And this just shows you what the requirements are. For ad revenue, you need to be at least over 18, but for channel membership, and this one is really cool because this means then you can start charging your clients directly to subscribe to your YouTube channel. Again, you have to be over 18 years old and you need at least 1,000 subscribers on your YouTube page to start charging them. But the nice thing about YouTube as well is if you don't necessarily want to charge your subscribers directly, you can obviously do advertising on there. You can do collaborated merchandise stuff. So just go have a look. You can YouTube this as well. You can Google this as well so that you have a better understanding of what you need to do on your own YouTube channel to get you to start earning an income on it, okay? And here is the interesting new sort of buzzword now in the art world, the NFT. Now, the NFT stands for non-fungible token. And the word fungible in itself simply means replaceable, right? So that means that you are talking about putting value on a non-replaceable item. And this item could be, if you're an artist, your artwork, your canvas. If you're a photographer, your photo. If you're a street artist, it could be the photo of your street art. Or if you're a musician, it could actually be your music, okay? And I have also listed here, there are some resources over here where you can just take these down and go do some more learning and research on what NFTs are. And there are some great YouTube resources as well that you guys can go and see. But I got this information, what they are, directly from, I think, this website here, The Conversation. And I'll just quickly read this for you guys now. NFTs are tokenized versions of assets that can be traded on a blockchain. The digital ledger technology behind cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I know for you guys, when we hear the word Bitcoin, sort of warning signs kind of goes off. But this doesn't necessarily mean the Bitcoin where people are kind of getting scammed. This at the moment now just means that the NFT token that you would attach to your own artwork can be tracked digitally without needing the middleman like a bank to go to facilitate the transaction between you and a buyer for your artwork. Artists can attach stipulations to an NFT that ensures that they get some of the proceeds every time it gets resold, meaning they benefit if their work increases in value. How cool does that sound? It means every single time your artwork moves from one owner to another, whether you sold it originally to one person, if they go on and sell it to somebody else, you're still going to get some sort of proceeds and credit for that artwork. So you can track ownership until it's like receiving royalties for what you're doing. And that is why you should care about this NFT stuff right now at the moment and find out ways on how you can actually utilize this so that it serves you and it benefits you. That's about as much as I can say on NFTs without also kind of confusing my own head about what this means for you guys, but I do hope that it's interesting enough to make you guys want to go and research a bit more. And that brings us to the end of the presentation. It was such a lonely presentation for me because I didn't have you guys around to engage with me, to ask me questions like I'm used to, like I prefer to have. So maybe next time we'll be able to do that. More than anything, guys, I really do hope that I have added some kind of value in terms of helping you guys think outside of the box on what you can do, how you can establish your career, how you can use social media and different platforms as well to establish you as an authority, as an expert, and how you can use that skill that you just feel like is so boring to you that you can do sleeping or with your eyes closed or with your hands tied behind your back, but is actually a really sought out thing. It's a sought out skill. It's a sought out solution for people out there. You just need to let them know that you are the one to provide this solution. So I wish you guys all the best. Thank you for your patience in listening to me present this information, and I hope to see you guys soon.